The Bunker, a science fiction audio short by Wormhole Dreams. Copyright 2024, Wormhole Dreams, all rights reserved.
The control room buzzed with restless energy, and I could feel the tension thick in the air as waking systems hissed and machinery throbbed around us. The hum of life support systems waking up provided a backdrop to the chaos as people emerged from their cryogenic pods, disoriented and shivering. "Everyone, just stay calm." My voice cut through the commotion, trying to be authoritative yet reassuring as I moved through the crowd of dazed survivors. As chief engineer, I was already running diagnostics and system checks in my mind.
"Where are we?"
Someone called out, panic edging their words.
"Is it a ship or bunker?"
Another echoed, mirroring the uncertainty gripping every heart in the room. "Let's find out," I replied, moving towards the main console, my fingers flying over the keys with practiced ease. My eyes scanned the readouts rapidly, searching for the data that would reveal our future.
Hey Artis, any guesses where we are? Maybe a nice planet? With a good pub?
Trey McClure asked, nudging the man beside him, trying to inject some lightness into the situation. Artis Holly, who once designed the mightiest of military vessels, crossed his arms and observed the screens over my shoulder. He had short, dark hair and bright eyes that seemed to always be taking in his surroundings. He is an excellent problem solver, with a natural curiosity that often leads him to explore places others would not dare venture.
Not a clue, buddy. I just hope we're on a ship.
Me too, mate.
Trey replied, running a hand through his tousled hair. A skilled mechanic with a muscular build and a strong work ethic, Trey had an uncanny ability to fix anything he puts his hands on. His warm smile made him approachable to others. "Here we go," I muttered, and the room fell silent, every eye transfixed on the glow of the monitor. A few seconds felt like an eternity until, finally, I spoke. "Listen, everyone. According to the computer, we're on Earth. The lottery put us in a bunker." A collective sigh rippled through the crew, a mix of relief and disappointment. Everyone understood the undeniable reality. The lottery system held our future in its grasp. In the year 2061, as the sun spat its fiery wrath in a relentless onslaught of solar ejections, killing billions, humanity's last hope for survival lay in 50 colossal spaceships. These behemoths, each capable of ferrying 500 souls, offered a chance of escape on a 100-year journey in cryo-sleep to a cluster of distant solar systems harbouring the promise of life. But for those not chosen by the lottery to embark on this interstellar voyage, there existed another chance for survival. 50 immense bunkers, each a home for 500 inhabitants, consigned to a cryo-sleep of 2 centuries. A gamble with time and a gamble with destiny. As the remains of humanity shuffled into the cold embrace of the cryo chambers, a shroud of uncertainty enveloped us all. Would we awaken on a distant planet, or in the depths of an Earth that had 200 years to heal itself? For whatever reason, most people wanted to leave, fearing the Earth would never be able to restore itself. Either way, the unknown awaited, a cruel spectre, haunting our last moments of consciousness. "So, it's been 200 years. I whispered, not believing my own words as the weight of that time settling on me like a shroud. Artis and Trey approached me. We'd been acquainted for several years before the evacuation. The 3 of us worked for the Nexus Corporation, one of the companies contracted to build systems that would be used in the bunkers and spaceships.
Well, Pam, could be worse, I guess.
Artis said, attempting to smile.
We could have been fried by those solar ejections up top. At least now Earth should be safe again.
I agree, so let's get out there and take a look.
Let's focus on what we do know, I interjected, attempting to be practical. We'll need to start protocols, evaluate supplies, and... Wait, this doesn't add up.
What's wrong, Pam?
Sleep duration, that's strange. It says 100 years, not 200.
Must be a glitch. We needed to sleep 200 years, right?
Yes, that was the plan for the bunkers. I'll run a full diagnostic. It must be a glitch.
Okay then. Let's make the best of our bunker life. Who knows? Maybe there's a pub here after all.
The cold fog of cryogenic sleep lifted, as the chief supervisor, Barry Jameson, flickered open his eyes. He was a tall, stern man with a strong presence. His dark hair was peppered with grey, signifying his years of experience. As the chief supervisor, he had a tendency to be difficult and arrogant, often clashing with others. He is the kind of person that prefers to maintain strict control and is not receptive to change. He is driven by the desire to keep everyone alive and safe, but his methods can be questionable at times. His first breath was a laboured gasp. The second, a command barked across the awakening chamber.
Pam Gray, status report.
I was already way ahead, my deft fingers dancing across the console, coaxing life from the computer with an urgency that matched Barry's impatience. Around us, hundreds staggered to their senses, a chorus of confusion rising from the half-lit metallic cavern we occupied. "Give me a moment," I replied, my voice steady despite the flutter in my chest. The screen before me glowed, revealing lines of data that made far less sense than they should. A crew supervisor helped Barry from the cryopod.
We're in a bunker? Is this some kind of joke?
Barry demanded, his tone acidic as he approached and loomed over my shoulder.
Please, tell me we're prepping for landing.
My eyes widened, disbelief etched into my features. The computer, it says...
What is it?
It's saying we're in a bunker, but that we've been in cryo for only 100 years.
Impossible! Check again!
But the numbers didn't lie. A century, not 2. No stirring engines, no planet below awaiting our arrival, just the stubborn embrace of a scorched earth waiting above. "Barry, we need..." I started, but he was already turning to the crowd, his presence commanding silence.
Listen up!
Barry's voice boomed through the chamber.
We've hit a snag. We're not aboard a ship, and we're 100 years early out of a cryo-sleep that was supposed to last 200, so we can't go to the surface anytime soon.
Someone in the crowd spoke up.
Chief Supervisor, can't we just go back into cryo?
There's no re-entry to cryo. The system was only designed for a one-shot trip, and we've taken it. All we can do now is start preparations for surviving. It's all we've got until we can get more info.
Barry, we have to assume that the surface is still heavily radiated, so we need to leave the top 10 decks sealed to protect ourselves from possible exposure. There is plenty of living space and all essentials we need on decks 11 through 20. There's nothing up top but radiation shielding and storage for equipment we'll need when we go to the surface, if we ever do.
Yes, make that happen, Pam. Select a team to help you get that done as soon as possible.
I'm on it.
Listen, everyone. All decks above 10 will be sealed off and locked down. No one goes up there, understand? It's off limits.
Off limits?
Trey leaned over to speak to Artis.
Well, mate, it looks like this could be our permanent home.
I don't buy it. I think we'll find a solution.
I hope so, because if we don't, we're never walking out of here.
The hum of the bunker's life support system was a constant backdrop to my work in the tech bay, a rhythm to the community's heartbeat. 5 years had passed since we'd woken up in this subterranean refuge, and the lower decks had blossomed into a microcosm of society. A tableau of resilience where families now shared meals, children's laughter echoed through the corridors, and couples exchanged vows with hopeful gazes. As supervisor of all technical operations, my competence was stark contrast to Barry's ex-military background. He was not the person I would have chosen to be in charge, but he was at least tolerable. Yet even as routines formed, a silent question loomed in my mind, unanswered in the darkened corridors of those forbidden upper levels. I pressed the comm button to give Barry my daily status report. "System check complete," I announced, my fingers stilling on the keyboard. "All green for another day."
Copy that, Pam!
Hey, Pam,
came a voice from the doorway. It was Jenna, one of the medics, cradling her newborn boy.
You know, it kind of feels like we're turning into mole people down here.
I chuckled, glancing up at her. Mole people with an impeccable health record, thanks to you.
Still, I can't help imagining what the sun feels like, and that my son will most likely never see it.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find a way to get out of here sooner than 95 years, I said. though my voice lacked conviction. As Jenna left, my gaze lingered on the door that led to the sealed upper decks, the forbidden zones. Curiosity gnawed at me as I combed through the extensive data in the bunker's computer systems and collected all internal and external sensor readings. There were discrepancies I couldn't ignore any longer. I turned back to my console and began sifting through files, cross-referencing data points that had always seemed inconsequential. Until recently. The readings were slowly changing in ways that I didn't understand. Outside hull pressure at 0? I mumbled to myself, frowning at the readout. That can't be right. The bunker should have been under tons of earth, with corresponding pressure readings.
Hey Pam, you okay?
Artis, now one of the bunker engineers, approached with a curious tilt of his head. Look at this, I beckoned him over, pointing at the screen. And tell me I'm not losing my mind.
That's weird. Hull temperature is uniform across the levels. Shouldn't level 30 be colder?
Exactly, I said, my pulse quickening. And there's more. Ever wonder about the skills lottery? We've got exobiologists, which makes no sense. And we have 3 astronauts with spacewalking experience. This doesn't add up.
Wait, astronauts?
Artis's eyes widened.
I thought we'd be farming potatoes, not floating in 0G.
Exactly. My voice was tense now, my brain piecing together an improbable puzzle. And a third of my engineering staff has experience with rocket engines.
Right. One of the engineers mentioned that a while back. I didn't really think anything of it, until now. But why would we need that?
Unless... I trailed off, the unsaid theory hanging heavy between us.
Unless we're not actually in a bunker.
Or at least not just any bunker, I added quietly, my mind racing.
Should we tell Barry?
Every time I bring this up with Barry, he comes up with a convenient way to dismiss the idea.
You told him everything?
No, and he doesn't need to know. Not yet. I'm afraid that if I keep pushing it, he will reassign me. No. First, we need to make sure. We need to get into those sealed decks.
Isn't that against the rules? And dangerous?
Artis grimaced, but there was a spark of rebellion in his gaze. Sometimes laws are based on lies, I said, my resolve hardening. It may be risky, but we need to find out the truth.
Then let's find it. But can we bring Trey in on this? He can get us through any locked bulkhead on this bunker, and we can certainly trust him.
Perfect. Let's talk to him later today when he's finished with his shift in mechanical. The decision was made, a conspiracy against the unknown to challenge the very foundations of our subterranean reality. My fingers danced across the keyboard with a sense of urgency, my eyes scanning the lines of code that painted an increasingly clear picture. Artis and Trey stood behind me looking at the monitors. This is what we're talking about, Trey. The pressure readings have slowly changed over the last few months. They are all wrong for a bunker. Trey leaned over my shoulder, his large frame blocking out the sterile light of the monitors. His gaze was intense, focused on the numbers flickering on the screen.
You might be onto something,
he muttered, his voice a thoughtful rumble as he pointed at the screen.
And look at this. The temperature gradients are consistent throughout all levels. That's not how radiation shielding works, is it?
No, it's not.
Well, if we're on a ship, it explains why my training feels wasted in a bunker.
Mine too, I agreed. A silence settled between the 3 of us, filled only by the soft hum of the life support systems. We have to dig deeper, but we do it quietly.
Agreed. Barry's already tense enough with all the whispers going around.
How are these rumors getting out? It's not coming from us.
All I can think of is, with this many engineers and scientists, someone else is already suspicious of the same thing we are.
Could just be wishful thinking on their part, I said. But before we could delve further into our investigation, a commotion echoed through the corridors. Voices raised in confusion and concern filtered into the control room.
Gray! Holly!
Barry Jameson's voice cut through the chatter as he barged in, his expression stern and unyielding.
What's this I hear about spaceship theories?
I don't know, Barry. I met his glare with a level gaze. I've been busy checking anomalies in the system. You know, routine maintenance.
Routine, huh?
Barry folded his arms across his chest, unconvinced.
I want these rumors quashed, now, and from now on, all access to the computer systems goes through me.
Understood, I replied, keeping my tone neutral, though my mind raced with plans.
And another thing, Pam, if you hear anyone spreading these types of rumors, report it to me immediately. Do you understand what this type of false hope could do to the morale here? We'll have riots to deal with.
Once Barry had left, satisfied with his display of authority, I immediately set to work. My hands flew over the keyboard, downloading files after files of data onto a portable drive. 10 terabytes should be everything we need, I whispered to myself. The download bar crawled to completion, each tick resonating like a heartbeat in my chest. Here, I said, handing the drive to Artis. This has everything we need. If I'm locking down the system, we'll want a back door.
Smart thinking.
Artis replied, concealing the drive within a panel of his jumpsuit.
We'll analyze this later, away from prying eyes.
Be careful, I warned him. Barry's watching, and he's not above making examples out of people.
Likewise, keep your head down, Pam. We'll figure this out, one way or another.
Will do, I affirmed before turning back to my console, my resolve hardening. I had to play my part perfectly. The truth depended on it. As I executed the final command to restrict the system, a sense of isolation settled over me. The bunker's walls seemed to close in, yet I was beginning to believe that beyond them lay a vastness that just might be our true home. The buzz of 100 conversations quieted to a hush as Barry Jameson stepped onto the makeshift stage at the center of the common area. His posture was ramrod straight, eyes scanning the crowd with an eagle's precision. A vein throbbed at his temple, a telltale sign of the pressure he felt to squash the growing dissent.
Friends,
Barry began, his voice carrying effortlessly across the space.
I understand there have been rumors.
He paused, allowing the word to hang heavy in the air.
Rumors that we are not where we think we are.
I stood at the back, my arms folded, watching him intently as Artis leaned in close enough for only me to hear.
He's laying it on thick.
Speculation breeds misinformation, and misinformation breeds chaos, and chaos,
he punctuated the word with a clenched fist,
is a luxury we cannot afford. We are survivors, not conspiracists.
A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but I noted the skeptical looks and whispered exchanges that persisted despite Barry's oratory.
Rest assured, you are in one of Earth's bunkers, built to withstand the trials ahead. Our mission is clear: preserve and persevere. The future of the human race on our home planet is in our hands, and ours alone.
The applause was polite, but I could sense the tension coiling tighter around us. As Barry left the common area, surrounded by his entourage, I caught his eye. He gave me a curt nod, a silent command to maintain the narrative. Later, hidden away in the bowels of the lower decks, Artis, Trey and I huddled over the terabytes of data that I had extracted earlier. Look at this, I said, pointing at the screen where I'd pulled up the bunker's schematics. The layout for the upper levels doesn't match what we've been told. See here? These are not storage rooms. They're more like crew quarters.
Do you mean spaceship crew quarters?
Artis added, squinting at the diagrams. Exactly, I replied. And according to the data on radiation levels, I tapped several keys, bringing up another set of readings. I was able to access a sensor on Deck 4. There's nothing, no radiation, when there should be lethal levels if we were still on Earth.
It's just one sensor on one level. Is that enough data to be sure?
Probably not. That's why we have to go to the upper deck and check it ourselves.
Okay then, it's time to break the law.
It didn't take long for us to find a maintenance shaft behind a bulkhead door on level 14. Trey cut the hinges off and drilled out the lock. One by one, we climbed the narrow ladder, the clank of our boots echoing in the cramped space. The climb was arduous, muscles burning with each upward movement, but the thought of what might be waiting for us drove us onward. Finally, we emerged onto Deck 6, well within the forbidden zone. The lights flickered on, revealing a corridor that looked nothing like the utilitarian design of the bunker. Silver panels lined the walls, and sleek doors slid open as we approached.
This doesn't look like any bunker I've ever seen.
Because it's not, I said, my voice barely above a breath. This is a ship. It has to be.
Let's find something definitive.
Artis urged, leading the way. We moved cautiously, checking room after room. Each new discovery compounded our belief. Storage bays with space-grade vacuum seals, navigation maps of star systems, and even a hydroponics lab with plant specimens that I recognized as engineered breeds designed for extraterrestrial farming. As we carefully proceeded up the levels, we found no evidence of elevated radiation, just normal background levels you would expect on Earth, a planet similar to Earth, or in space.
If we're on a ship, shouldn't there be portholes or windows everywhere so we can see outside?
No, that just makes the hull weaker. There won't be that many, but there should be a few.
Portholes or not, this is the proof we need. We need to tell everyone.
Careful, if Barry finds out we're up here.
We're going to start with Barry and his minions.
What if he doesn't believe us?
Let's worry about that later. Right now, we have enough proof. That's all that matters. My heart hammered against my ribs, echoing the frantic beating of my fingers against the cold metal of the data chip hidden in my palm. Barry's eyes, narrowed to angry slits, flickered over the evidence we'd gathered from the forbidden decks, his scoff morphing into a venomous sneer.
Impossible! This is nothing but bullshit built on false hope.
Barry, the data doesn't lie, I countered, my voice surprisingly stern despite the turmoil churning within me. Listen, the hull pressure, the temperature, the personnel we have.
Enough. This is the type of misinformation that will lead to chaos in here. Take them to the holding cell until we can sort this out.
Panic clawed at my throat as 2 bunker security personnel materialized, their steely gazes locking onto us. With swift efficiency, they seized our arms and propelled us out of the room, urgency crackling in the air like electricity. Shocked faces turned towards us as we were dragged through the corridor, the weight of uncertainty heavy upon us all. Yet, amidst the chaos, Barry emerged from his office, weaving a tapestry of half-truths to soothe the confused masses. Once we had slipped away from prying eyes and found ourselves alone in a desolate corridor, determination ignited within me like a blazing inferno. It was clear that action was imperative. With a silent exchange of desperate glances, Artis sprang into action, a swift blow connecting with the closest guard's jaw. Trey followed suit, his movements fluid and practiced, a legacy of his days as a mechanic. "Run!" I yelled, taking off down the metallic corridor with Artis and Trey at my heels. Our footsteps echoed through the sterile chambers, each thud a drumbeat against the tightening grip of fear. Let's get to level 1. The main airlock's located there.
You want to open the main airlock?
No. The main airlock will have a viewing portal if this is a spaceship. We'll find the truth there. If not...
We're buried.
Artis finished my sentence grimly. Out of breath from climbing, we finally reached level 1, the air thick with tension. Barry and his security team's enraged shouts reverberated from below, his pursuit relentless. The heavy inner airlock doors loomed before us, cold and imposing. "Hurry!" I urged, my hands trembling as I struggled with the controls. "Help me get this open." Trey kept watch for the approaching mob while Artis joined me at the panel. Lights flickered to life as the system hummed. Suddenly, the inner hatch slid open and the 2 of us stumbled into the airlock. "Come on, Trey! Come on!" I yelled, my gaze glued to the portal window on the other side of the airlock. Trey ran in after us. The crowd was now dangerously close. Their angry voices were getting louder.
I'm in. Close the hatch.
Artis reached for the control panel and slammed his fist down on the close button with the force of a man convinced he was delivering justice.
Stop, damn it! Stop!
Barry yelled from the throng, but it was too late. The inner hatch slid shut, locking him out and stopping the hysterical mob in its tracks. Silence descended, thick and suffocating. Then, a gasp escaped Artis's lips. His face was pressed against the glass of the viewing portal.
Stars! I see stars!
I squeezed my face to the portal beside Artis. I could see the stars, and for a moment I thought we were drifting in space. But slowly, as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, a faint horizon emerged in the foreground of the dim sunrise.
What do you see? Where are we?
I tore my gaze away from the portal, unable to bear its haunting allure any longer. It looks like Earth, I stammered, disbelief weighing heavily on my words. It's a sunrise. On Earth. The expressions on Artie's and Trey's faces mirrored my own incredulity. "I'm sorry," I murmured, the weight of my mistake pressing down on me like a boulder. "I was so sure this was a spaceship, but we're just peering out from the top level of the bunker. I was wrong." Suddenly, Barry's voice crackled through the intercom, his fury palpable even through the static, his face contorted with anger against the glass of the inner hatch.
"You think you're the only one who can manipulate these systems?"
Stepping back, he motioned for an engineer who approached with focused purpose, plugging in a small module to the inter-hatch panel.
"The three of you brought this on yourselves. You can't be trusted to remain in the bunker any longer."
With a grim determination, he turned to the engineer, his orders clear.
"Open the outer hatch and expose them, now!"
His anger now redirected at the three of us.
"If the radiation out there isn't lethal, then you're on your own. If it is, well, you won't have to worry about starving to death."
I looked at my only two friends with the knowledge that I had doomed them. I dropped to my knees. "I'm sorry, guys. I wanted it so badly. To believe we'd made it, to find a new beginning despite everything. Hope clouded my judgment. I dragged you both into this delusion. I'm so sorry."
Pam, we did what we thought was right.
Artis reassured me, his hand resting on my shoulder. Trey nodded his head, his gaze softening.
Pam, none of us knew for sure. It's not just you. We all clung to that same delusion.
That's right. Hope isn't a delusion, Pam. It's what keeps us going. And hey, even if we're wrong, we go out looking at one last sunrise, something I thought we'd never see again.
"I guess you're right," I said, a wistful half smile touching my lips. I looked back at the hatch, the gentle light of dawn seeping through, casting long shadows on our faces. I guess we'll find out soon enough. The engineer on the outside of the hatch stepped back with a victorious look on his face. The seal on the hatch cracked, and it began to slowly open. But then something unexpected happened. As the inner hatch started to slowly grind open, so did the outer hatch. Artis stared at me in disbelief.
Pam, why are both hatches opening?
A smile grew across my face. I wanted to scream for joy because I knew there was only one reason this could happen. I was sure of it. I watched, mesmerized, as the hatch creaked further open. Barry's voice, raw with fear, echoed through the chamber.
"Both hatches are opening. We'll all be exposed. Pam, you've killed us all!"
He was lost in the wave of bodies fleeing towards the perceived safety of the bunker, their terror a stark contrast to the serene beauty of the sunrise unfolding before us. Now both Artis and Trey were looking at me, their faces a mix of confusion and fear. "It makes perfect sense," I said, still smiling. "This is what happens on a ship or a bunker when both hatches read equal pressure, breathable atmosphere, and no dangerous radiation." The hatch continued to groan, the sound unnervingly loud in the tense silence left by Barry and the mob's departure. Slowly it swung open, revealing a sliver of the world beyond. I held my breath, eyes wide as the light spilled over us, soft and golden.
Look at that.
Artis whispered, stepping forward to peer out. His voice was filled with awe. Trey was close behind him, his large silhouette framed against the growing light.
Now that is remarkable. I didn't expect that.
I edged between them, my heart pounding. The sight that greeted me was one of serene beauty. Rolling hills with a tapestry of colours bathed in the warm hues of sunrise, the sky a canvas of soft pinks and fluorescent blues stretching into the distance. It was like nothing I had seen on Earth before. If this was Earth, its scorched landscape had not only recovered, but it had changed drastically. Is that Earth? I stammered, trying to reconcile the image with my understanding of our doomed planet.
Can't be. Look at the trees, the vegetation. That's not Terran.
Then where are we?
Trey asked, his tone hushed in reverence to the scene unfolding before us. Guys, look at that, I said, pointing to the sky. 2 moons. There are 2 moons. This isn't Earth, it's another planet.
Another planet?
Trey echoed, the words hanging between us. Yes, we're on a ship that's already landed at its destination.
How is that possible?
It was a computer error the whole time, a damned computer error.
A computer error?
Yes, and it all makes sense now.
How does any of this make sense?
They used the same basic systems to manage the ships and the bunkers. The computer error was a data crossover in the system. The computer was telling us we were in a bunker and at the same time waking us from cryosleep at the right time and eventually reporting valid data on the ship systems. We've been sitting here on the planet's surface for 5 years.
You mean we've been sitting here all this time while we built lives believing we were underground on Earth, fearing radiation that didn't exist?
Trey shook his head in disbelief.
A computer error? All this time based on a computer error?
Yes, but now we have a second chance, a new beginning, but without Barry's leadership, I added, feeling a weight lifting off my shoulders. My mind raced with the possibilities, my earlier despair giving way to excitement. Guys, we can actually build a future here.
Build, explore, live,
Trey said, the mechanic in him already imagining the work ahead.
We've got skills meant for colonization, remember? It's not an accident, it was planned.
Yes, planned for us, and we have everything we need right here in this ship.
Let's go tell the others. They deserve to know there's a whole world waiting for us outside these metal walls.
No, they can wait. Let's watch the sunrise on our new home we discovered. Together, we stepped out of the airlock, the ground of a new planet beneath our feet, the warmth of its sun on our faces, and the promise of a future free from the confines of a spaceship that had been our world for far too long.
The Bunker, a science fiction audio short by Wormhole Dreams. Copyright 2024 Wormhole Dreams, all rights reserved.